Hi guys, it's Elise from My Cupcake Addiction. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make some kind of unassuming safari style cupcakes. We're going to do leopards and we're going to do tigers. We're going to top them off with some gorgeous free printable cupcake wrappers. I've got little toppers that I'll be showing you how to make, but the best thing about these cupcakes is when you bite into them, they're animal print all the way through. Let's get started.
To recreate these gorgeous cupcakes, you're going to need a cupcake tray, and I've just lined mine with some black cupcake liners. I've also got some of our perfectly pipeable buttercream frosting in plain vanilla. I will leave a link to this recipe in the description box below, but I've got that in a disposable piping bag with an open round piping tip. I've got some unsweetened cocoa, you can also use brown food colouring, some candy melt in orange and also in white. I've got my printable safari themed cupcake wrappers, so I will leave a link to those in the description box below. I've also got a paintbrush, some Ziploc bags. I've got a couple of small spoons and a large spoon. Over here I've got some food colour in black and also orange, a pair of scissors. I'm just going to use a packet cake mix today, but any vanilla or white cake mix you like, a spare bowl and some sticky tape. So first up, you want to make up your cake mix. Like I said, I'm using a packet cake mix, but whatever recipe you're comfortable using, so long as it's a vanilla or a white cake mix, it's going to do the trick. Once your cake mix is all mixed, I'm going to take 2 good-sized tablespoons of that mix and put it into one bowl, and then 4 good-sized tablespoons of the same mixture and put it into the other bowl. Into the first bowl, you want to add your cocoa, and I'm really just doing this to eye. So, like I said, you can use brown food colouring, but I had cocoa in the cupboard, and it saves me having that extra food colouring. Mix it through to make your cake batter light brown, and then you want to add some black colouring to that other cake batter, and we're going to mix that through to get a really nice black. You want to take a Ziploc bag now and spoon in some of your white, and we're also going to do the same with our black and also our brown. So about half of the white that you've got sitting there, and then all of the brown and all of the black into those Ziploc bags. Beginning with the leopard print on this side, we're going to start with our vanilla cake mix. So I'm going to snip off quite a generous tip, and make sure you get your little piece of plastic that you've snipped off so it doesn't go into your cake. But you can see here I'm just swirling around a really nice thin layer on the bottom of the cupcake. Now you want to snip a slightly smaller tip off your black, once again getting that piece of plastic out of the way, and then I'm just going to create like a ring around the outside. It doesn't really matter how thick or thin you do this, but just bear in mind you want this black to go all the way through all 12 of your safari cupcakes. Once you've done the outer ring, you want to do a smaller ring on the inside of those cupcakes, so you've got kind of like a target looking thing. Now snip the tip off your light brown. And what you're going to do here is you're essentially going to do the exact same pattern on top of that black ring. So not beside it, literally sitting on top of it. So you've got a layer of black and then a layer of brown. Repeat that for all 6 of your cupcakes. And then you want to take the black again, and once again on top, you want to paint a black line. So you've got black, brown and black. This recipe and technique works quite well with a slightly firmer cake mix. So something like a pound cake or even a sponge. I prefer a packet mix for this because I just find them to be a bit denser. Now I'm taking my vanilla cake mix again and I'm swirling. I'm starting in that center well in between the 2 layers of black and brown, and then I'm doing the outer well so that I don't disturb the pattern that we've created. You want to repeat that process again. I'm going to make these ones slightly thicker. So you're going to do another black layer and then another brown layer directly on top of that black layer. And then you're going to finish it off with a final black layer. It's up to you how many of these spots you want in your cupcakes, but you do want to bear in mind that you don't want to fill them over 2/3 of the way. So this one here is a little bit full. I'm just going to scoop out a bit of that vanilla cake mix. Those ones are ready to go. For your tiger print cupcakes, you can empty the rest of your chocolate batter into that remaining vanilla batter and then just add some orange food colouring. You don't have to add the chocolate, but it just kind of makes it a little bit of a darker orange. Spoon another thin layer of your orange into the bottom, and you'll see I'm using my spoon to make sure that it's coating the entire bottom of the cupcake case. And then you want to take that Ziploc bag with the remaining black, and you're going to pipe in just like a big circle. So a little bit smaller than the orange ring. Then you want to take another spoonful and you're going to put a smaller sized orange ring within the confines of that black ring. And then you're going to take your Ziploc bag again and you're going to pipe in a black ring that sits inside the orange ring. So you're kind of building up a little series of circles. Another layer of orange and a final dot of black, and they're ready to go off into a moderate oven. Mine took about 12 minutes or so to cook. While they're off cooking, you want to take your food colour pastes and put them in a little container, some orange and some black. I'm using paste, not liquid here, because it's better for drawing on chocolate. Now I'm just going to do some little orange spots on my white candy melts, on my white chocolate buds, and I'm just going to ring them on the outer edge in some black. So all different shapes and sizes for your spots, and when you're ringing them on the outer edge, you want to make sure that you're not actually joining the dots up, because the leopard spots don't really join up. They've got little gaps, sort of different thicknesses and different widths. Now take some of your black and we're just going to paint some sort of tiger stripes onto those orange candy melts. These are super simple. With my tiger stripes, I like to do kind of like one thick one in the middle and then a few thinner ones. Make sure that you're pointing them nicely and just a little bit haphazard. If you do need a guide, of course, you've got your printable templates there to help you out with your patterns. Once your printable templates have been printed, and I like to print mine on a 200 GSM cardstock, so slightly thicker than paper, you just want to wrap them around the outside of your cupcake and take a little bit of tape. I always curl my tape underneath the cupcake to give it extra stability. With your cupcakes baked, wrapped, and your top is made, you now want to take your piping bag, and I'm just doing a smooth, high swirl. So you can see I start in the center of the cupcake, I bring it around, lifting it up for about 3 layers before tapering off to a nice point on the top, and just sticking those little toppers straight on top. So there you've got your gorgeous, super simple safari cupcakes. Safari on the inside, safari on the outside. Make sure you check out my channel, My Cupcake Addiction, for more surprise inside cake effects and a whole lot more fabulous decorating tutorials. As always, thanks very much for tuning in to My Cupcake Addiction.